We're here in beautiful Cancun, Mexico. With great beaches, nightlife, and vacation excursions, the city leaves very little to be desired, especially when one considers its greatest attribute, its art. Cancun, or when translated, Snake's Nest, is not only a great vacation spot, but is also host to a culture that is literally present everywhere you turn, the Mayan Empire. Believed to be between 1,200 and 3,000 years old, the Mayan people demonstrated a reverence for art that echoes to this very day. Palaces would be constructed, vividly painted, and utilized for vision quests, sacrifices, and the production of art in all forms, including statues, pottery, paintings, and architecture. All in the interest of further detailing the Mayan everyday life. The Mayan people integrated art into their everyday life in the most intimate of ways. As a result of colonization and Christianity, all of the art and books of the Mayan people were destroyed in the interest of saving the people. However, true to the resilient spirit of the Mayan people, their culture is still intact to this day.
2010 marks the year that Mexico changed its $500 peso note to the likeness of none other than Diego Rivera and the revolutionary Frida Kahlo. A married couple since 1928, Rivera and Kahlo would produce works of art that echoed the sentiments of the Mexican Communist Party. With a focus on defining a true Mexican identity, Kahlo's work would exhale its loudest roar in the 1970s. So much so that the nation of Mexico placed her and Diego Rivera's portraits on the country's $500 peso banknote. Why? Because at its best, art can change the way a people see themselves and the world. Through Kahlo's reflections of self in her amazing portraits, she demonstrated the authentically Mexican woman, coming to grips with an ever-changing Mexican culture in terms of gender and lifestyle. Cities like Cancun prove that art does have a place in everyday life. While ultimately for the purpose of tourism, Cancun has a variety of representations of authentic Mexican culture. The culture that once inspired Kahlo and Diego's work also inspires the tourist-friendly experiences the nation of Mexico hosts to this very day.
Someone who is willing to invest their time, resources, and energy. Patronage is responsible for many of the works of art considered to be masterpieces to this very day. In 1975, the Skull Auction, created by Robert Neville Skull, sold 50 works of art for hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the original price. Artists with works in his collection like Robert Rauschenberg were initially very upset that now that his works have been sold for way more money than originally priced, he can sell future works for a lot more money. His new lease price rose substantially. Skull was able to sell pieces like Rauschenberg's Thaw, originally purchased at $900, for $85,000. Work from Rauschenberg and his peers like Warhol, Franz Klein, Kooning, Jasper Johns, and Rothko would all become shining testaments of the financial power of the arts. After famously giving Skull a piece of his mind by saying, "I've been working my ass off for you to make that profit. Skull responded by assuring Robert Rauschenberg that the money will return passively over the years. The Skull auction amassed $2.2 million in the early 1970s, equating to $12 million in today's money. The sale established the idea that modern art could be a truly effective money-making tool.
Welcome to South Beach, Miami, home to year-long sunny skies, a prolific party culture, a wide variety of ethnicities from all over Central America and the Caribbean, and a rapidly growing arts culture as a result of events like Art Basel Miami. Founded by Ernest Byler, gallerist Trudel Bruckner and Bals Hilt in June of 1970, as a way to compete with neighbouring Germany's own fair called Art Cologne. Art Basel has been a staple in the art world and a must-attend for both serious collectors and general public alike.
I think Art Basel is amazing for Miami. There's a beautiful thing that happens here in the upswing from fall to spring, with Art Basel being a pinnacle experience.
Art Basel, it started in Switzerland and it moved over here. They still have Art Basel Switzerland, by the way. Art Basel is one show. There's Scope, there's Pulse, there's Nada, there's 35 of them. When you think of that, it's just Art Basel Week, because that was what initiated this whole multiple fair extravaganza.
However, in environments like an art fair, we begin to observe something rather strange, a sort of natural divide between those who are actually participating and those wondering how to participate. For a select few, Art Basel Miami is an annual opportunity to expand their financial portfolios via the sale and purchasing of a wide array of fine art. These few are known as gallerists, collectors, and patrons.
And the serious collectors come in and they'll have a preview. A lot of that stuff is probably pre-set up before the show. That's an international marketplace, and it's huge, and it's very profitable for everybody. It doesn't really help the local artists very much, because it's all imported from all over the world. As far as art education goes, it's a good thing, because it exposes you to a worldwide market. What is there? Something like 35 big fairs during Art Basel Week. They're all 50,000 square feet apiece. You know, that's a lot of walking around. Art Miami, I mean, there's this ton of things. So in that sense, it gives everybody a view of what's really going on out there.
Nonetheless, for most attendees at art fairs like Art Basel Miami, a general lack of consistent relationship and access to the arts renders most art spaces intimidating.
I think it boils back to the reduction of people not having confidence in their own opinion or interpretation of art. I think art is foreign. It's a foreign language to many people. And if they don't meet the artist and want to solicit that artist, or, you know, for their personality or their network or their connection or their relatability, or if they don't directly have a connection with something that they've made, I think it's just, you know, it's become a jaded market. I think there just isn't the same capacity for that exchange.
For most people, art is not as accessible as entertainment or sport, and as a result, curious partygoers who may have an interest in art but little to no access back home can now freely peruse the latest in art and culture. So what exactly brings two people on opposite ends of the gamut to the same convention? For one, it is the chance to purchase timeless works of art that will one day produce an unimaginable financial return. For the other, be them aware or not, it's the chance to participate in the arts in a safe, accessible space, free from being judged, challenged, or even ignored. It's not by happenstance that Art Basel takes place in Miami. As the capital city of the Sunshine State, Miami is known for its tourist-friendly atmosphere and incredible cultural diversity.
Miami, on the other hand, is basically Latin American, to be quite honest with you, right? There's very few of us Anglos left. I can't literally get a job in Miami in production because I don't speak Spanish. It's absolutely true. I've showed my portfolio and stuff to people, and I will say that they say, "We love your work, but you don't speak Spanish." I guess I'm sorry. And this is America.
With the fair conveniently located on the beach, why wouldn't you engage with the arts after a quick dip? Art Basel Miami is a rare happening in the wilderness of culture. Works of art that would otherwise be off limits to the masses are, for a fleeting moment, only a $50 ticket away. While works of art are available to the public in art spaces like exhibitions, museums, and art fairs, for galleries, the ultimate goal of displaying works of art is the sale.
2 years ago, Art Basel sold $52 million in the first 15 minutes.
What?
It's true.
The masses being able to enjoy a quality art experience is simply a byproduct. But what if the success of Art Basel highlights a major issue in the arts? A lack of general access.
What if a diversifying in sources of patronage could democratize the resale of works of art? With more diverse people willing to purchase art, artists have more options. This, in concert with patronage of the arts via attending museums, artist exhibitions, and art events like Art Basel Miami, will demand for more diversity in these art spaces, and more diverse arts programming that more accurately reflects the masses of people who currently don't attend museums at all. Patronage, the model of backing impossible ideas. The model of backing impossible ideas is still alive and well to this very day, as evident by art events like Art Basel Miami. But for who exactly? In 1989, an arts advocacy group called the Guerrilla Girls found that less than 5% of the permanent works hanging in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City were by women artists. However, more than 85% of the nude works of art in the same museum were of women. 51% of working artists are women. However, only 3 to 5% of the works of art in the top museums in the US are by women. Why? Males account for 70% of individual artists represented by the nation's top galleries, despite being only 49% of all individual working artists. Art world history dictates that the main fashion of patronage comes in the form of one entity, typically a wealthy person or family, willing to support an artist's vision and their practice in the form of resources like living quarters and spaces to make. The other way is government-funded arts programs that may or may not be slanted in personal bias in the interest of a city, state, or nation. So, how do we rid ourselves of the potential for puppetry via patronage?
More regular participation from everybody, and not just, again, this elite thing that I see happening in visual arts where not everybody is connected or feels related I don't see any really progressive movements within that, outside of a gallery or traditional museum experience. The intention of museums is a very good one, to preserve arts in a community, very much like a library. And I think inherently museums are doing good to bring art to the community and have it funded by government, legislative branches that support the arts. However, I also believe that museums have been doing a big disservice to visual arts in community-based outreaches, because it's become very elitist and not accessible to everyone. Museums cost money, and even when they're free, it's a bit sterile environment. Not always, of course, there's museums doing more progressive things. The role of museums can shift in a really mindful, enlightened way. That would be exciting to see. And again, I think they're important. I don't want to downplay their role. I guess it's been a while since I've been to a museum that I thought was really doing some like avant-garde, like pushing boundaries shit. And I just don't see it happening that often. And it still feels very disconnected to the audience somehow. The white walls, the galleries, these are not, I think, ways that art was meant to be experienced.
Museums are no longer simply a place that contains art. Museums should be a place where people have access to actively participate in the arts. It has to be a place that challenges society. It should be a place to develop new ways of expression.
That's why I like Brooklyn Museum. Shout out to Brooklyn Museum, because I feel like when you go, you're getting it for free. Like, it's just an art experience. So you get it for free. You're seeing all of this melanin. Mm-hmm. You get to see really good art that's worth a discussion, and then they give you a DJ.
Museums are one of very few ways the masses have access to the arts in real time, but it's also a quiet giant in terms of tourism. As a $500 billion industry, $512 billion exactly, that generates up to $58 billion per year in tax revenue alone. Tourism is a big chunk of change for cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Miami. The arts not only satisfies the tourist's desire to drink and culture, but also stirs the market for orbiting businesses.
Windward, right now, ever since they opened up Art Walk, they're turned into more of a street festival. It does bring people who know nothing about art into a realm that they can see 40 galleries, right? Walking, and everybody has their doors open, and they're packed.
So often, the arts is treated like an artifact. Society puts art under a neat glass case only to be appreciated and patronized by the wealthy. The very buildings that we live and work in, the automobiles that we travel in, the machines that we use to make our lives easier. How do we turn them from dreams into reality without art? Even down to a tool like a hammer, a vital tool for the construction of the world as we understand it today. But how do we get the hammer without first using a pencil? To get the modern day airplane, helicopter, or even a better understanding of our own human anatomy, it all starts with art. Now, art's purpose is not exclusively expressing oneself or preserving culture or utilitarian. It's all of these things at once.
When someone is titled artist, they are saddled with a laundry list of stereotypes that ultimately rob the artist of their purpose to create, and to create roundly. not only paintings or installations, but innovations in all realms of society. When a girl brings her new boyfriend home and her parents ask, "So what do you do?" If he says, "I'm a dentist," the parent's face will light up. If he says, "I'm an artist," the parent's face will express disappointment. When the principal of a middle school wants to buy the basketball team brand new uniforms, where is he or she most likely to siphon that money from? The art department. Why?
I've been doing art my entire life. And I've always been convinced that if I put the same amount of energy that I put into art, into sports, people in my family would be noticeably, measurably more proud of me.
Because societally, we lack the understanding necessary to take the arts as seriously as we take sports or science or entertainment.
Musicians and athletes are, like those are us. That like I'm a kid, I'm looking at who's the rich people, who's the power people. The first person I see that look like me are athletes and musicians. And so that's generally what young people look at.
What if creatives were invested in not only to paint paintings, learn to play the cello, or design sneakers, but also to creatively problem solve? What if the arts can be utilized to inspire a generation of creators to address global problems from a variety of perspectives? After all of this poetic waxing, what do we do? We live in a world that is composed of and organized by art. Arts literacy, knowing what art is and what art can be, is essential to both democratizing the arts and utilizing the arts to make innovations in society. General patronage of the arts. If no one attends museums, America will simply do away with them. Yes, you can search art on the internet, but visiting a museum is an experience. Buying art is a practical solution as well. Patronage of this sort is an investment. It's very simple. Kids from underserved communities exemplify athletes and musicians because they exemplify success, access, and freedom. The term starving artist inspires no one, especially a people who already have been systematically disenfranchised. To ignite the masses' interest in the arts has to be made attractive, magnetic, and appealing by artists. We've noted before, patronage of the arts leads to advancements in STEM fields. Sketches of what Leonardo da Vinci called the aerial screw would go on to be the foundation for the design of today's modern-day helicopter. The ornithopter became the modern-day airplane. With patronage of the arts, the possibilities are endless.
I remember just wanting my grandfather to ask me, yo, what is this? What does this mean? How did you get from here to here? You would think that that's small.
You would think that that's not even like, that's whatever, but it would have meant so much to me to be inquired upon in terms of my art. Look at the camera, look. Where are we going?
We're going to the art store
Why are we going to the art store?
to get paints and art supplies.
When I first told my grandparents that I wanted to go to art school, my granddad was like, black people don't do no art. Pauline, what this boy talking about? He want to do some art. He want to go to art. None of black people do no art. Now, let's do a little experiment. By a show of hands, who can name me 8 black basketball players? Amazing, y'all all 8 y'all Wheaties. That's what's up. Now, name me 8 rappers. Oh, y'all can do that, okay. Let's see if y'all can do this. Okay, now, by a show of hands, who can name me 8 black visual artists? Not rappers. A lot less hands went up. Now, why is that? How do we live in a world composed of and organized by art, yet we know not the names of any black creatives as immediately as we know the names of black star athletes and musicians? In current state, the societal terrain has not made room or investment in the arts, especially for people of color, due to a lack of examples of excellence. Someone that transcends the arts so much so that even someone like my granddad knows who they are. Now, what exactly constitutes an example of excellence? Number 1, finance. Number 2, influence. And number 3, societal impact. Now, with that criteria in mind, who can people of color call an example of excellence? Off the top of my head, I got 3 people that come to mind, right? Let's see. One of them's name is, I think his name is like Sean Carter. Some people call him Jay-Z. He's known for like rapping and stuff. He has the hottest chick in the game. She's usually found wearing his chain. That's right, Hove, right? Okay, now this chick named Oprah, she's been talking on TV for 20-some years, has a network now. I'm sure you guys have heard of her. And this guy named LeBron James, right? He dunks stuff and gets a lot of money for it.